The Pharaoh Djoser by AJ Bordzhe. Narrated by Zherov. Adam sat on Mrs. Amelia's faded pink sofa. Her living room was fairly typical of an old retired woman living on a pension. In her old age, she had let it become quite cluttered, at first with knickknacks and then with junk she couldn't bring herself to throw away. While Adam had been comparing Amelia's medical history with potential insurance policies, her cat had intruded and made itself quite comfortable on the stranger's lap. Adam had found himself in this situation quite often. He excelled at selling life insurance policies to little old widows who lived alone with their cats. He didn't have strong opinions one way or another about cats, but it was incredibly important that he pretended to love them. He knew these women loved their animals. He knew if he could feign interest with her cat, Amelia would trust him implicitly, and with that trust, he could talk her into buying any policy. "He likes you," Amelia said, raising her thin eyebrows. "I have a way with cats," Adam replied without a hint of sarcasm. "Do you believe in reincarnation?" Amelia asked. Adam was not ready for the question, and it caused him to look up from filling out a rather expensive term policy that was, by most metrics, probably more coverage than Amelia needed. "I'm sorry?" Adam asked back. "That cat is the Pharaoh Djoser reincarnated," Amelia said proudly. Adam, slightly blindsided by the preposterousness of the statement, managed to say, "Really? You don't say." "Yes, that's right. You know that the ancient Egyptians worshipped cats. They believed they were sacred guardians. And between you and me, I have the gift. I'm a psychic, and I've always been able to see what other people can't. And that cat right there told me in a dream that he was the Pharaoh Djoser, who built the stepped pyramid, reincarnated as a cat," Amelia rambled. Adam had never heard more nonsense in his life. "That is fascinating. I had no idea I was in the presence of royalty," Adam said completely genuinely. "I'm a great judge of character, too," she continued. "I can read you like I can read a book. I knew you were a sweet young man from the moment I met you. That's why Djoser likes you. He sees it, too." "Just wait till I tell my friends about that. Not only did I meet a pharaoh today, but also he holds me in high regards. Now, Mrs. Amelia, if you would be so kind, I just need your signature here, and I should have your new policy ready for you," Adam said, holding out his pen towards her. Amelia took the pen and signed without a single question. "Well, now those kids won't have to argue over who has to pay to bury me. It's already done. I took care of it. They don't come to visit unless it's to ask about money, you know. Well, now it's done. My will is made and the funeral is paid for. They can worry about money when I'm good and dead," she said, handing the pen back to Adam. "Well, it was very nice to meet you, Mrs. Amelia, and it was an honor to meet you, Your Highness," Adam said, gently lifting the cat and placing it on the sofa. As Amelia showed Adam out the front door, he put his hat back on and assured the old woman not to hesitate to get a hold of him should she have any questions about the policy. Then he left, and for several months he did not have a single thought concerning Amelia or the Pharaoh Djoser. However, several months later, Adam would receive a letter informing him that Mrs. Amelia had passed away. Naturally, he was quite perplexed that someone had taken the time to inform him of the passing of a client he had only met on one occasion, until he realized that the letter was in fact summoning him to the reading of Mrs. Amelia's will, which he had been written into. Adam walked into the office of the estate agent to find one lawyer sitting behind a desk, squinting into his glasses as he peered at the last will and testament of the late Mrs. Amelia. The office was narrow with a row of bookshelves built into one wall. The other wall was painted a dark color, making the room feel oppressively claustrophobic. He also found Mrs. Amelia's 2 daughters and youngest son, who did not appear to be pleased at all to be in the same room as one another. As Adam walked through the door, Mrs. Amelia's children turned and glared at him. He could feel the heat from their eyes. "Who even are you?" Amelia's oldest daughter, Delilah, spat. "Apparently Mom went and replaced you last minute, got herself a better son, a son she can trust with her inheritance," Amelia's middle daughter said, although she was not looking at Adam but directing her words to her brother instead. "Shut up," the young man replied. "The sooner the will is read, the sooner I'm rid of you." The estate agent cleared his throat to draw the bickering children's attention back to the reading of the will. He began and read through each item, dividing all of Amelia's assets equally amongst her children, until finally it came to the last item. The last thing in the will was a cat, the Pharaoh Djoser, who she left to Adam, stating that he was the only person to have ever shown a true appreciation, fitting his unique nature. The lawyer read this last line and used his pen to point to a chair in the corner of the office, where the cat had quietly been sleeping. Adam looked at the cat and said nothing. His interest in the cat had been a facade he had used to get in Amelia's good graces. He had no idea it would lead to this. Still, he thought that he would have to accept it. He might have sold her insurance that she didn't need, but he wasn't going to abandon this cat. He wasn't a monster. Adam walked out onto the evening street with his briefcase in one hand and the cat under his other arm. He began heading home, back to the old city. He walked over the bridge that crossed the Drain River, which marked the border between the old city and downtown. The bridge was broad and one of many that stitched the 2 sides of the city together. There were 2 stone columns that rose from the center of each of the bridge's entrances that prevented vehicular traffic. Each column had 3 words engraved into them. On the south side, the column read Prosperity and Progress. On the north, Order and Justice.